Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Shield.com. From the world-famous Sugar Shack studios outside Houston, Texas, this is the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Our favorite West Coast wordsmith and automotive detective, Jack Nerad's just standing by, and we're going to get to him in just a minute. We'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news headlines this week as well. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, and Jeff. We need more Jeff Seekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong, so glad you could join us on this Saturday for our live broadcast. And just get right to it because I want to talk to this guy. It's Jack Nerad, ladies and gentlemen, a regular on our show, and we're very, very proud and happy that he joins us. I don't know why. I think he feels sorry for us. That's why.
I think so too.
Quite the contrary. It's always a blast to talk to you.
Well,
guys.
And it is to you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. And there's so many things I want to talk to you about because this week, it seems as though the American auto manufacturers in particular are going, EVs. Well, can we rethink that for just a minute?
Just a bit.
Because it seems, and although Mary Barra is not really forthcoming, I think that she too has hinted to the fact that I think that we need to rethink the all in on the electric thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're looking at the handwriting on the wall. They're looking at what consumers are doing. We've seen the momentum, if there was momentum for EVs, slow down. It's a tough time, and it's especially tough for General Motors, but all the car companies. I was just talking to folks at Stellantis this past week, and they're about to launch a bunch of new electric vehicles. I mean, I'd be scratching my head then and wondering, is this the time I want to launch, new electric vehicles? It's just tough. It's tough out there. And when you look at what's going on in the marketplace, people are just realizing that a lot of times an electric vehicle doesn't really match up with what they want. So why pay more for something that doesn't have the utility that your tried and true vehicle has? Well,
but yeah, you're exactly right. And to add on to that, electric vehicles aren't cheap. And,
right.
and to saddle yourself with, a $70,000 electric car, and that's just right on the kind of like the mid-level there, you're going to go, do I really want to saddle myself with this? We don't have totally the infrastructure to support an electric car. And I think that a lot of electric car owners are beginning to realize that it's not as easy as it sounds to try to find a charger when you need a charger.
And the carrot also was the tax incentives.
Yeah.
That's gone away, or somewhat.
Well, to some extent, it's gone away, and it's changed, certainly. And a lot of people now have to lease. You have to lease an import vehicle, basically, to get the benefit of the tax credit. And not everybody wants to lease. It's not necessarily the best financial decision overall to lease a vehicle. So,
well, Jack,
there's a lot of things standing in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
As you mentioned.
Well, the other thing is, too, and you mentioned Stellantis. I heard a rumor, and it was just a rumor, that they may be looking at selling and joining forces with Renault.
That is a hot rumor, and we've reported that on the our radio show as well. I mean, and who knows? I mean, the French government owns pieces of both of those companies, so it's not as simple as it would be to avoid something like that. I think the Stellantis people are not necessarily enthusiastic about joining with Renault. Maybe some are, maybe some aren't.
What would be the advantage of that merger, if you want to call it that, or buy?
Well, I think we've always had overproduction in the car industry. I guess we didn't have it during COVID, but largely there are too many car companies, too many brands, chasing too few customers. And so if you could consolidate, you can get some economies of scale by doing that and eliminate some brands. Where it's scary for Stellantis is, what do you do with the Chrysler brand? What's going to happen with the Dodge brand that is really in transition right now? Would those just go away? I mean, Jeep and Ram, very high volume, profitable entities. But the others, I don't know. I don't know if they could survive such a thing.
There's not much
kind of
left
surprising
of
they
Chrysler.
survived up till now.
Well, let me ask you this. So, why would a major car company called Dodge dump all that they have worked on for over a decade and with this performance thing and be very successful with the SRT and not only the Charger but the Challenger as well, both of those cars, 1,000 horsepower, they sell every one that they make. Why would you completely get away from all of that, dump all of that, say, no, we're not going to do that anymore, and put all of your money in going into electrics or hybrids and stuff like that? You're just waving goodbye to all of that audience.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at what the landscape looked like 2 or 3 years ago, right? A lot of people were absolutely, and longer ago than that, 5 years ago. There was this gung-ho belief that we had to go and we were going to go all electric. It's not happening. I mean, it's not happening out in the wild there, right? It just doesn't happen.
But Jack,
and it's certainly not going to happen when you're looking at $2.79 gas in Texas. Gas is even down under $5 here in California. So there's just too many obstacles, I think, to a lot of people adopting electric vehicles. If you don't have a single family home, if you don't have your own home, and probably your own garage if you live anywhere where it gets cold, having an electric car is probably a disastrous idea. It's not just a bad idea or kind of here or there. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It's just a bad idea at that point. If you can't charge at home, the public charging infrastructure is so bad that, and it's not getting better. We're adding more electric vehicles, but we're not adding operating fast chargers, which is what everybody wants at the same rate. I mean, a guy was telling me that his municipality, his local town, added a bunch of level 2 chargers and threw a bunch of level 2 chargers into the mix, which doesn't do very many people a lot of good these days when if you're going to charge a full electric on a level 2 charger, it's going to be sitting there for hours.
Yeah.
Well, that would be more like I'm going to go to work and I'm going to plug my car in and try to regain the loss of electricity from the battery that I got going from home to work that day. That's all it would do.
Yeah. It's happened that, during this time, during this 5-year period, right, a lot of people are not going to work, not commuting to work like they used to. They're working from home. Where do you go where you sit someplace, or you're there for hours on end? And people aren't going to the movies at the rate they used to. Maybe that's 2 or 3 hours. Maybe you go to the shopping mall occasionally for 2 or 3 hours. But even 2 or 3 hours isn't going to get you a whole lot of gain if you're sitting on a level 2 charger.
Exactly. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is the fact that I think that going in, I think that most manufacturers knew going in that the best that they could do is 20% of all of their total sales on EVs. Why would you throw away cars that are attractive, that they sell, and they're gasoline motors, they get 30, 40 miles to the gallon on a hybrid, and you're going to throw all of that away and go all electric? Why would you do something like? I've never heard of this.
My sense is that, say, General Motors decided, okay, we're going to be the domestic EV leader. This is our plan going forward, and so we're going all in on that. Which, if it had worked, it would have been a great plan, right? I mean, you'd maybe be ahead of your competitors. Others, Toyota, maybe specifically, but even Ford Motor Company, and to some extent, Stellantis 2 years ago or a year ago was being, pummeled because it didn't have electric vehicles. And what are you guys thinking about? You're going too slow into this. So then they kind of ramped that up, and it turns out to not be the best idea. But certainly in the short term, and maybe in the long term, because I'm not sure how you guys feel. I don't necessarily see a long-term future where we're all electric. It doesn't make sense to me, given what electrics are versus what conventional vehicles are.
Well, I think that the perfect example of that would be the Ford Lightning. That's sitting on lots everywhere. They keep lowering the price of them. Ford Motor Company has already said they're going to lose $5 to $5.5 billion in this changeover to electric. Why would you not put the brakes on that? And I guess that they have, because now they've said that they're going to develop a couple of hybrids in the meantime. Well, in the meantime, it takes 2 or 3 years to make a car.
You talk.
Yeah, at the very least. I mean, if you're developing an all-new platform, you're probably looking at more like 5 years or something like that. So you really have to anticipate what the market is going to want. And for, since 1920, it's been conventional gasoline-powered vehicles up until a decade ago.
But Jack,
and then we had a disruption, and people are disrupted by the disruption. There's no doubt about that, right?
But like you said, though, the whole idea of moving to EVs has never been consumer driven. I mean, we've talked about this here a lot of times. It's not consumers driving that. So all these companies, Ford, GM, whoever, they're going to it, but like they're not looking at what the consumers are wanting or what the consumers are buying per se. There's something else driving it, and I'm not even going to get into that, but it's not consumers driving it.
Well, we know what that is.
Yeah.
It's the
but
government.
I mean, because it goes back to just like we were talking about Dodge. All this branding they did with the Dodge brothers, even if you don't particularly care for a 1,000 horsepower car, they had great commercials. People talked about the great commercials and how much fun they were, even if they'd never buy the car.
Yeah.
So it's not consumer driven is the problem.
And the other thing, we talked about the infrastructure so far as the charging stations. In my day job, I occasionally go to a construction site for new builds of buildings, hospitals, and things. And they are installing areas and segments of the parking lot in the building with chargers. I was just at one recently here in the Sugar Land area that the building opened up, and they've got 5 EV chargers segregated on the side of the building. So that it's more of a individual company putting it in rather than the government.
Yeah, and hopefully they're putting in the right type of charger.
Right, that I don't know.
That has the right capacity and is going to match up with the technological requirements of vehicles, not just now but going forward. And a lot of various entities are installing, again, level 2 chargers, which are in a lot of ways kind of a thing of the past. Not as a public charger, not very useful. Except maybe in a hotel or something like that, where you're staying overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a new charger installed at the Hyundai dealership. So now I got one less than 20 miles away. And I went over there 3 times and sat in line to get to that particular charger. Finally went over there at 6 o'clock one morning when it was drizzling rain. And it was a Genesis. And it was at 10%. And I let it sit there and go all the way to 100%. It took me an hour and 38 minutes. I took my truck down to the gas station and put 26 gallons of gas in it in less than 5 minutes to go 500 miles. So I got twice the range out of my gasoline vehicle versus the hour and a half I spent there charging, reading a book in the rain.
Yeah. I mean, who has time to do that on a regular basis? I mean, I sure don't. But I see it all the time. I live in Southern California. I see these people sitting in their expensive Tesla vehicles at chargers. These are obviously professional people, probably making a lot of money per hour, right? When you think about it. And they're sitting there playing video games in their car or, making phone calls or stuff like that. I mean, I just don't see that as being very productive. It's up to others, though, to decide, I guess,
Mike,
they want.
If you were reading a book, were you reading one of Jack's books?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
No, you've already read that.
I already read both of them.
We're waiting for the next one, Jack.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it.
Are you?
I'm close to having another crime novel.
Oh, good.
And it involves us.
Yeah,
It does, exactly.
We're the crime. So you mentioned gas out there at below $5. Wow, I'm bowled over.
Yeah, well, I was excited. I was in Austin, actually. I just flew back from Austin yesterday on a car event or truck event, actually, and noticed how low the prices of fuel were there in Texas. But it's come down a bit, I think, probably with election coming up, they're kind of quelling the rhetoric a little bit about fossil fuels. So we haven't heard that kind of rhetoric that we heard 2 or 3 years ago that really sent the prices through the roof. But
Yes.
of course, we've got problems in the Middle East, too. I mean, who knows what could happen with fuel prices there. So it's always volatile, but there's little doubt that fuel prices are a big factor in whether EVs are going to be adopted or not.
So, Jack, on a different note, let's talk about something that you got excited about that you've driven or got some sort of a reveal that you went to see or did. What's going on in your life?
I just went to the Chicago Auto Show a couple of weeks ago.
How was that
Chicago.
without Stellantis there?
Well, it was a little lonely.
Yeah.
A little lonely. I mean, I think it's so short-sighted of all these brands to pull out of auto shows. I think we all love the magic of cars. We love the magic of auto shows. We love the magic of, seeing the new stuff and getting to sit in it. I remember going to a Chicago Auto Show at the Chicago Amphitheater, now a building long gone, I think, way back. And just falling in love with everything about it, just the concept cars, the new production cars that were on the floor there. It was just magic, right?
The chrome, the lights, the noise.
Yeah. And that's what car companies are really selling. They're selling romance. They're not selling transportation. If they were selling transportation, we'd all be driving Honda Civics, right?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of checker cabs, but that's another story.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. So they have to have this romance, and they kind of understand it, I think, in the commercials they do.
Right.
But not putting these vehicles in front of people where they can see them in a no-pressure situation. I think you guys probably love auto shows as much as I do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I just think they're great. And sadly, this Chicago Auto Show still would have been exciting for a consumer. Didn't have a whole lot for the media. I think next year will probably be more, because what I did see too is the media still turns out. People in the news business go to auto shows. So if you have something newsworthy or even mildly newsworthy, it's a good place to get it reported.
Yep.
I think that's going to turn around a bit.
And you talked about the romance growing up as a kid. Detroit Auto Show, Cobo Hall. You would go there. You would get all the paper brochures and the magazines. You take those homes and you read and study them about all those cars and the pretty colors, and that's how you get involved. That's the romance of it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Have you driven anything fun and exciting lately?
Well, I just did a report on the Volvo V90 Cross Country.
It's a station wagon, isn't it?
It is a station wagon,
Yes.
exactly. And I think a lot of auto journalists, maybe not you guys so much, but I think many of us, there's something strange in the automotive journalist genome that we love station wagons and we love hatchback.
Yes.
I mean, we love a lot of vehicles that maybe the typical consumer doesn't love so much. Certainly station wagons.
To that
used to be
end,
really
Jack,
fun.
if I may just interrupt it and say to you, I drove just recently the Subaru Impreza. It's a wagon now, and it drove great. I fell in love with that thing. Will anybody else? I don't know, but I've pumped it up as much as I could because I'm excited about it, and I'm not a station wagon
I
guy.
love driving this V90. It's got plenty of cargo space. I think it's got like 34 cubic feet of cargo space behind the second row seats. It's a nice 5-passenger vehicle, easy to get in and out of, but and low enough you're not climbing up into it. And then you're driving essentially a luxury sedan from the driver's seat.
Yep.
You're driving essentially an S90. A pretty competent luxury sedan with plenty of room. So I just really like that. There's nothing startlingly new about it, quite the contrary, but it's just, pointed out to me, this is a pretty good configuration for a vehicle, and why not? Why don't we see more of these?
Well, let me tell
I
you
agree.
something. So I look at the collector car market all the time. Man, I'm telling you, the Buick Estate wagon, the Chevrolet wagons from the 80s,
Pontiacs,
they're back
the
with the
Bonnevilles.
great big, wooden side appliques on it, and they're hot, and they look, it's like, man, I remember that. I'll bet you that thing rides like a dreamboat. And they're selling them, and they get more and more and more money for them.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I mean, we all have nostalgia for the cars that we want to buy, right? Those collector cars, a lot of it has to do with boy, I remember that as a kid, or I really wanted to have that thing when I was 15. And now I've got some money and I'll buy one. So it makes all the sense in the world. They're pretty cool.
It may not fit in the garage, but boy, it sure is cool going down the street. And when you see one going down there, you honk, you wave, you thumbs up, all of that sort of stuff. Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, absolutely true. And they're pretty useful, actually. I mean, they're not necessarily fuel efficient, but otherwise haul a lot of people, as you mentioned.
Hey,
certainly very comfortable.
They got 3 rows. Now, the third row may be facing the opposite direction.
That's the beauty of it. Those are great.
Where you came from.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So anything to look forward to on your end in the next month or so?
Well, I'm going to do some traveling. I'm going to be driving the new Ford Ranger fairly soon.
I have to tell you, I liked that Ford Ranger last time I drove it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot to all of these new mid-size trucks, I mean, they're kind of the size of a full-size truck of 2 decades ago.
That's exactly right. Yes.
They're a very handy size. They are more capable than ever. A lot of
fit in the garage.
Absolutely. And that's something they're adamant about. The designers are adamant about because the consumers are adamant about that. And you can't do that with a full-size pickup truck these days. It's just too big.
I'm waiting for the compact truck to come back. And I don't know why they don't build them anymore. I still see those Ford Rangers from the 1980s on the streets today. They're usually, the pool guy or the pest control guy, that kind of stuff. And they're well maintained, and they're still driving them.
Yeah, very, very cool vehicles. I remember the rotary trucks that Mazda used to make in the 70s. I mean, those were really cool, too.
Yeah. Well, Jack, it's always great to talk to you, my friend. Get caught up. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for getting up extra early for us today.
How about that?
I was up a little early. We have an old dog. I was trying to teach him some new tricks, and it just doesn't work.
That's what we do to the Don every Saturday morning.
Every Saturday morning. Jack Nerad, noted author and auto journalist, and got a great show. What's the radio show, Jack?
It is called America on the Road.
Yep. And where can we find that? Can we find it online?
Yes, absolutely. You look for America on the Road. I mean, there is. It's on all the major podcast outlets. So look for it.
So listen to our show and then follow it up with America on the Road, and you'll get everything you've ever wanted to know in the automobile industry.
Seems like a plan. I think that's a great plan, Don.
We love you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Thanks.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Jack Nerad. I got some stuff I got to get in.
Get it.
All right.
Get her
So
done.
we can either do Hemmings Sold Cars Roundup, or we can do some headlines. What would you like?
The Hemmings takes longer, so let's do the headlines.
Okay. Well,
and we don't have a scorecard ready.
Some of these aren't real headlines. They're more lengthy
dissertations.
Stories. Yeah, they are. That's too long. I don't want to do that just yet. We'll do that at
all right, do whatever you want.
I'm doing
you the man.
Some on-the-fly editing here. So we're going to put those two down there. Mm-hmm. Jack was talking about charging electric vehicles. Public electric vehicle chargers are becoming more reliable, but charger availability is worsening, according to J.D. Power data. The story from Automotive News, 18% of public charging attempts failed in the fourth quarter. That's a 3-point improvement from the previous 9 months, according to J.D. Power's latest charging satisfaction surveys. Are you satisfied with your charge?
Satisfaction. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Lack of charger availability or long wait times made up a growing percentage of problems. They represent 20% of failed charging attempts, up from 10% in the fourth quarter of 21. Lack of availability is really alarming as EV adoption outpaces charging installation growth, according to Brett Gruber, executive director of J.D. Power's EV practice. Much of J.D. Power's feedback on limited availability came specifically from failures with level 2 chargers.
There you go.
Which is a total waste of time anyway. Shell Oil Company subsidiary shuttered almost all of its hydrogen fueling station network for light-duty vehicles in California, dealing a setback to an energy source that could reduce carbon emissions. Shell Hydrogen Vice President Andrew Beard cited supply complications and other external market factors as reasons for the closures of 7 stations in a letter to hydrogen customers. Yet, Shell's decision runs counter to burgeoning momentum for hydrogen, which includes $8 billion in federal spending designed to promote its use and ensure consistent demand.
Well, we did a segment on hydrogen, and recently it's been announced there's going to be a hydrogen plant in Katy, Texas, which isn't far from here. Don't know the development of it or when it's going to go online, but it's being considered and it's being worked on.
The closed Shell stations accounted for 7 of the 59 public hydrogen fueling stations in the United States, about 12%, according to Department of Energy data. Their closures may hinder broader efforts to make hydrogen fuel cells an alternative and complement to battery electric vehicles.
Wow.
Who would? Hey, let me show you my new Cadillac. It's hydrogen powered.
I'd say awesome.
Yeah. You drive out to Katy to get it refueled.
Well, that's true too. That's awesome too.
I got other things to do with.
It's no different than the EV. Some of the EVs now, sometimes you just got to drive way out of your way.
20 miles. He said 20 miles for his.
I could walk to the Shell station right down the street. I could walk there
with a 5-gallon gas can.
Yep.
I understand. I agree.
And I could get that 5 gallons of gas in about 60 seconds.
Probably.
If you're paying with a credit card.
Just saying.
Yeah, I understand.
It's probably about $32 worth of gas. Roughly.
Yeah.
$2.80, something like that.
Yeah.
Last story. Mercedes-Benz made a bold bet on luxury in the wake of the pandemic. German luxury automaker vowed to maximize profit, focusing on its highest margin combustion engine and electric nameplates, but now not so much.
Not so much.
Auto industry is dogged in 2024 with high interest rates that are stinging even Mercedes' deep-pocketed customers and retailers. As a result, Mercedes will adjust its U.S. sales strategy this year, pivoting from what it calls its top-end vehicle segment to its lower-priced models. At a dealer meeting in Las Vegas last month, Mercedes said more affordable bread-and-butter models will drive sales in 2024. Surprise, surprise. Automaker will deliver 25 new and updated models to showrooms this year, including entry and mid-segment models, such as the redesigned E-Class, a new CLE Coupe and convertible, and a GLC plug-in hybrid crossover. Mercedes will also veer from its controversial EV push in the U.S. and turn up its supply of internal combustion engine and hybrid vehicles as demand for electric vehicles slows industry-wide. Ow!
Which one are we going to, 3 or 4?
I don't know. It's going to be
3.
It's going to be that one right there. Oh, we did, didn't we?
We missed 3. So let's go to 4.
Guess what? Yeah, we did. So let's do the.
Talking with Jack.
Which one?
Let's do the first one first.
The 3.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to try to make things up here. Just stay with us. On the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, back after a quick break. Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000-square-foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston's Galleria area. Call them at 713-781-7755. Want to feel good about something special you did for someone special? In Wheel Time and the original Lupi Tortilla group of Tex-Mex restaurants have joined together to help a very worthy cause, God's Garage, a Christian-based 501c3 charity. We know there are lots of places and organizations out there where you can donate a car, truck, or SUV, but we're asking you, our car enthusiast family, to consider donating to God's Garage. Visit godsgarage.org and learn about its mission, the women that have been helped, how each one is screened, and about their Restore You program. A car donation is an easy way to make a difference in the lives of others. God's Garage needs good operating vehicles, but will take all types in working and non-working condition. Make your heart and soul feel good by donating your gently used vehicle and help support single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military at godsgarage.org. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.